Hey everyone, Hoke Athlete and higher running coach Sage Canday here with another Training Talk Tuesday, or Thursday, episode number 60, I believe. Thanks for all your questions, all your support, thumbs up, all the comments. Top voted question, which I thought was an interesting one, regards of timing and adaptations, doing maybe certain workouts, but also certain training cycles or certain training plans within the structure of your year and how long those adaptations take to kick in. So here's the question. What scenario will lead to a stronger autumn marathon performance? A summer of mountainous trail racing, 20K to 42K, or focused 5K to 10K speed work? Bonus, how about a short block of speed work you could do in the summer to benefit long-term marathon results? So kind of a question of periodization or how your training changes over time. And it got me thinking in a more general sense as a distance runner of, how long does certain workouts take to kick in? What should you do exactly? But to answer the question specifically first, yes and no. You could do either one and it could help your fall marathon performance, but it depends on some variables. It depends on the runner, depends on your weekly mileage, what you've been doing in the past, as well as your genetics. Either scenario I could see being beneficial though, and we'll break it down with those variables. I'd say the number one thing though, the most important thing is what have you been doing in the last 12 months? What were you doing before this next focus season, right? A lot of us are getting in, we're ramping up training. We've got maybe some races we've signed up for, at least if we're signing up for ultramarathon races or waiting on lotteries and stuff like that, waitlist. But you also have to plan ahead with your road marathon schedule. 5Ks and 10Ks could be easier to jump into, especially in the summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. You could enter a local race last minute or just do a focused block of training. At Higher Running, we have 5K, 10K plans, for example. But the idea is that you're always mixing in slightly new things, but they're not so new and foreign that they might set you back in terms of like making you get injured or taking your focus too far away from your key event. And like I said, key thing is, what did you do in the prior 12 months before this, right? Were you doing a bunch of long ultra marathons? Were you running super high mileage? Did you have this really big aerobic base with lots of slow running and limited speed work? Because if that was the scenario, then it would probably be more beneficial for you to focus on that 5K, 10K PR, or at least a half marathon PR in the coming months of the summer or spring. We're in the dead of winter here in Colorado, but having that extra speed on top of an already large aerobic base and then transitioning that into a fast road marathon in the autumn or the fall, that would definitely be the most productive sequence in my mind. Whereas let's say you're relatively new, let's say only been distance running seriously for less than 5 years, relatively new, and you don't have a huge aerobic base. Maybe you haven't been running over 50K per week or 30 miles a week very consistently. Well, in that case, maybe doing longer slow stuff and building up your mileage and consistency with more longer aerobic stimulus, consistent long threshold tempo runs and some long runs, adding in the vert on the trail, low impact, could be more beneficial for your marathon. A lot of athletes that Sandy and I have coached through Higher Running, they mix it up, any surface, any distance, and they'll actually run a marathon PR after doing a cycle of maybe training for an ultra because they got in a huge aerobic base. But again, it goes back to your chronological age, your running age, what relative weekly mileage numbers you've been hitting, and how you've been mixing in that speed work exactly. Now, the second part of that question was talking about doing a speed block, and this is what the second half of the talk I'll get into, how long adaptations take if you do a certain workout, be it a speed workout or a tempo workout, anaerobic 400-meter repeat, puking on the track type of workout, or VO2 max workout. It really depends, and it's not just any single workout or any single training plan necessarily, because you're always blending in things that you've done over the months, over the years, over your whole life, really, when you think about it. So we're dealing with microcycles, we could say, looking at a weekly training plan, thinking in terms of days and weeks, but we also are looking at macro schedules or months and months of training, usually longer training blocks, but also even years of training, right? When I ran right out of college, I signed a pro contract to run professionally on the roads, mainly marathon and half marathon. And we would focus on maybe 2 major marathons a year, spring marathon like Boston, fall marathon like New York or something like that, Olympic trials. But in between, sometimes we do 10K races. I ran the Detroit Turkey Trot one Thanksgiving. Ran the Disney Half Marathon a couple times. So we'd mix in these blocks where we'd be doing 10K training, 10K half marathon racing and training for maybe 3 months, 4 months at a time. Take a little break, reset the system, then go into a full 16-week type of marathon block, specifically training for a marathon, but still getting those benefits of the faster paced work, the 5K, 10K paced work. That kind of muscle memory, that kind of musculature doesn't leave your legs right away. And so it's hugely beneficial from a physical standpoint, but also a mental standpoint, because you've endured the pain of lactic acid building up very quickly in something like a 5K or 10K event, and you're used to running this faster pace, faster than your threshold pace. Then all of a sudden you shift back to marathon training and you're saying, hey, my marathon goal pace feels a lot more comfortable now. Maybe I've improved my efficiency or my running economy because I have more power in my stride. I'm used to faster turnover. I've revved up the VO2 max. I've revved up the lactate clearance, stuff like that. Likewise, on the other hand, a lot of people, especially beginners we've coached or people that have run maybe lower mileage, and when I say low mileage, I mean like under 50 miles per week or 80K per week. If you've run over that, it takes a lot of time and dedication and injury resistance for sure, but you have a better aerobic base. Whereas if someone's not consistent with the weekly mileage or their lower weekly mileage, it's generally more beneficial to build up that consistency with the weekly mileage, building up that aerobic base with long, slow distance to stay healthy before you sprinkle in more of the high intensity speed work, because you probably haven't maximized your potential, your aerobic potential for years and years and years of high mileage running compared to maybe a more advanced runner or it does depend on your chronological age too and injury history. You don't want to get hurt. So building up that aerobic base, training for longer events like an ultra might actually help your relative marathon speed because it's helped your stamina and endurance more. And final part, this is going to be the closing remarks of the talk, is if we look at it from a scientific standpoint, from biology, biochemistry, we train our body as an organism to respond to different external stimuli, be that training stress, new training stress, to adapt and become stronger and faster, hopefully. So people think in terms of if they're just looking at the microcycles and they say, oh, I did a hard workout, go to the track, I'm doing 1 kilometer repeats, faster than 5K pace. It's a VO2 max workout. It's, over 90, 95% max heart rate. It was a really hard workout. And then, they're going to race a 5K in 6 days. Well, you might actually be fatigued and tired from that VO2 max workout, and mentally and physically fatigued, I should say. Your muscle fibers might be fatigued, and the benefits are probably not going to kick in 6 days for a VO2 max workout. You might underperform in your 5K race because you just did a VO2 max workout 6 days prior and you're still recovering from that essentially, right? Even if you taper, it's kind of still in your legs. It really takes like 10, 12 days for a VO2 max workout to kind of kick in, so to speak. But it really takes a cycle of repeat VO2 max workouts consistently for probably more like 3, 4, 5, or 6 weeks before you might notice a difference from a specific stimulus like VO2 max. Now, there are things that happen on a shorter time scale with more specifically even shorter events, shorter than the 5K. When I ran track in college, a lot of the 800 meter runners and 400 meter runners would do lactate clearance workouts, 4x400, fastest possible average, full-on lactic acid flooding the system, high levels of acid or acidic blood basically, and your body has a natural buffering capacity to lactic acid. It could develop some sort of adaptation very quickly, so that could be a matter of less than a week, maybe 4 or 5 days. But again, it's not any single workout. It's a mix of workouts in the ingredient list. If you're thinking of it, you're training like a big recipe. It's a mix of ingredients in different proportions at different times that really make the magic, right? And so it does take time. It's better to think of blocks of training in terms of weeks and weeks and months rather than just mere days. Now, the final workout, the final thing to take into consideration with the speed training, and this goes back to even doing simple things like strides or 15 to 20 second accelerations faster than 5K pace, is a neuromuscular stimulus, right? We're trying to do, maybe we're doing hill sprints, maybe we're doing track workouts, strides, to work on our muscle power, to work on our stride mechanics and running form. And that's a real huge thing for distance runners to do speed work and to do these 5K or 10K paced workouts. Not only are you running closer to your VO2 max or max aerobic capacity and getting those heart rate spikes for your heart and lungs and blood flow adaptations, you're also improving your muscle strength. Maybe you're increasing your stride length a little bit. Maybe you're getting your legs, your cadence or your stride rate turning over faster. And that could be hugely beneficial for your running economy or running efficiency at all paces, and especially slower paces like marathon race pace or ultra marathon race pace. So that's another final reason why we do these adaptations. And the neuromuscular adaptations could happen pretty quick. You start doing speed work regularly, maybe within a couple weeks you noticed a more smooth, fluid stride. You notice a higher cadence, slightly higher cadence, right? So things like that happen, but also with the aerobic base, that really takes time and consistency to build up. Besides just your musculature, building up those strength, the muscles, is also the things that happen inside. The blood flow, capillary beds, better blood flow to the muscles, size and density of mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, fat burning, efficiency, all these great things that take a lot of dedication, blood, sweat, and tears, consistent aerobic training to really give you that extra edge in terms of speed and stamina in these longer distance events. So kind of a long-winded answer to my question. You know me though, I do detailed training talks on here nearly every week. Been doing it for over 14 years. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thanks to title sponsor Hoka, keeping the dream alive. Got some exciting new gear with shoes and training and some race events maybe on the calendar coming up, health permitting, but hope you're doing well. Thanks to the Patreon supporters for really making this channel possible. And final note, this is a business plug. Check out our website, higherrunning.com. Coach Sandy and I have created, we have a YouTube channel called Higher Running actually that you could check out. That details our online running course, How to Coach Yourself, educational resource that you could check out. So I'll link to that video in the description below. But thank you so much. Hope you're doing well, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.